Hi, and we are live again for one of my 15-minute snappy chats, which is all about learning and growing in our small businesses. Why am I doing this? Because it's so important to learn from others, because it can get a really, really lonely ride when you're doing your own business. And we have so much to learn from each other because most often we go through some of the very similar challenges. So why not learn from each other? By the way, I'm Christine Bell. I'm a customer strategist and market researcher, but we're not going to be talking about me today. Rather, we got the wonderful Catherine here today in from Philadelphia in America, and she is a mental health expert. So it's really, really important in terms of mental fitness that we learn how we can optimize our brain. And I can't wait to have this wonderful, very smart lady talking about what she does and how we can learn in business. So Catherine, please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you, Christine. And I have to just say thank you so much for this opportunity for us to have this conversation, because like, how fun is this?
Exactly.
and I really believe that there's fun to be found in everything. So, yeah, the mental fitness it's been a progression. I'm a practitioner of applied positive psychology. I've been an RN for over 40 years now. I don't feel old enough, but here we are, right? And so,
Well, you look amazing.
yeah, it's so fun. And it's I'm the creator of the sunshine quotient, and that has to do with energy and lighting gradients and how we emit light and how we can adjust it and how we can use it. Because what's so fascinating is that, everybody notices it because your radiance is your calling card in this life. And if you can live being radiant and learn to live from the inside out, which is my whole premise of everything that I do, and the sunshine quotient is involved in everything that I do. And so it's just a fascinating journey, right? And it is a process. It's a progression. And yes, we absolutely learn as we go along.
Yes, totally agree with you. And I just want to say we got Natalie and Tabitha in here as well. Am I pronouncing it right now? Sorry, Tabitha, if I'm not pronouncing it right now. So very much happy to have them here.
Absolutely. Two beautiful women.
Absolutely. I so agree with what you're saying. This whole thing in terms of how we connect with others, and we see some people just have this radiance, don't they? And some people just have this energy, and we can't help to move towards this. It's attractive, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, it's fabulous because it's a higher vibration, and that's where everybody wants to be. And I think that once people understand more about understanding the energy that they are and how to work with the energy, the energy principles and the universal laws that govern really the world that we live in, it makes a huge difference for people.
I totally agree with you, and I think it's a journey that goes on forever. And I only started my journey 8 years ago, and I can definitely tell that people have come to me, especially every so often they come to me and go, something has changed about you. There's something different about your energy, and I go, yes, it means I've had another shift
Yes.
internally, like you said, it's from the inside out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's so funny. I really started my whole, what I call the start of my education in my early 20s. By the time I was 23, I was head nurse of a very small intensive care unit. And by the time I was 25, I was in a hip to breast back brace. My L4 vertebrae had just stress fractures, had blown apart. I had a marvelous repair. And it was just like, wow, something is way off here. Because I could see where people coming into the unit hadn't been taking care of themselves, but here I am in the same boat. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I shifted my whole area of study. I started studying body-mind connection, which led me to the body-mind-spirit connection. And I'm not stopping. In fact, I'm currently enrolled now in a master's to PhD program in integrative medicine, and studying more about body, mind, spirit. And it's just, I call it the rules of the game.
I love that. There's two things I want to say here. One, I come from marketing background, but you know what? Energy is key, and we don't learn that at business school, by the way. And two, I love that you embody what we're all about today and what we're going to be talking about, which is learning and growing. And that is what you're all about. You're doing your PhD now. It's amazing. So tell me about a challenge that you have had in your business that we can all learn from.
Oh, well, it's so interesting because I got the download for the Sunshine Quotient about 10 years ago. People were saying, "Oh my gosh, you're just so bright all the time. What are you doing?" And I say, "Well, I have this high sunshine quotient." But I'd never actually said those two words together.
Yeah.
So then I did the research and, found that it's a term that refers to lighting gradients in photography and radiology. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense because we're light beings. We're emitting light and energy and information constantly, and it's coming to us constantly. And so I just started working on this and doing more research. And it was really Barbara Fredrickson's research at the time that I was reading that made me believe that this was a viable project.
Yeah.
And it was actually my capstone project for the Applied Positive Psychology certification. It was just like, wow, okay. Dr. Dan Tomasulo encouraged me to do that. And I am totally delighted that I have done that. And I've actually set this project aside a couple of times for a couple of different reasons.
Yep.
But as far as developing it as a project and as part of my business, I've been, I had allowed a couple of different business coaches to persuade me to set it aside because they said, "Oh, that'll never get you anywhere. You really should be in corporate. You should really be doing this. You should. And I'm like, wow, okay. When people start telling you that you should, and you don't have a strong enough sense of discernment,
Yeah.
it's not a good combination,
No.
right?
We lose ourselves, don't we? It's kind of like this point where we lose track of what we are about and what feels good to us. And
Absolutely.
we start overriding our own intuition and we start listening to others. And from what it sounds like, a little bit out of fear in terms of this is never going to work. Yeah, I know better than you. And we give away a power in that moment, which is from a coach perspective, sometimes, depending on what kind of coach you are, maybe exactly what they're looking for. I'm not saying that's the case for your coaches, but it could be sometimes that has been seen before and we've given away a power and we lost our connection, haven't we, in terms of what feels right to me,
Oh, absolutely.
even if no one else can see it. Yeah.
Right. And absolutely. And what I learned through that whole process was that, okay, I am giving my power away, but no more. Right. Because the whole basis, the whole concept of the Sunshine Quotient is all about energy. And there's power versus force. And that persuasion is more of a forceful move, but the power comes from the inside out. And when I came upon that realization, it was like, all right, sunshine is, our light energy. And we're absolutely exploding here because this is what's so fun. And what's really interesting is I applied for a contract and not too long ago. So I went for the background check. And so this is fascinating. So I went for my fingerprints yesterday digitally,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And the gal that is doing my fingerprints, originally from Yemen, and she goes, "Oh my gosh." She said, "I've never seen such well-defined fingerprints." And she said, "The light is just coming out of you. Look at it. It's even coming out of your fingers." And she had nothing. Wow. She had no knowledge of the Sunshine Quotient project. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So when you start living these things and start to really live from the inside out, it makes a world of difference in not only how you're perceived in the world, but how you're accepted and how you can move forward with what that really rings true for you.
Yeah. And you know what that requires, which is a big learning, I think, especially for me in business. So if it's for me, it's probably from others as well, for others as well.
Yeah.
Trusting yourself, believing in yourself, really trusting that intuition, even when you can't see the result or exactly see the way forward of how you're going to make this happen, when other people are telling you, oh no, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, I believe in this. I trust it. I believe in it. I'm actually going through this. I think we go through it throughout life, but at different levels in terms of trusting. Yeah.
Right.
But that's a big one.
Oh, it's fascinating. And there, as you say, there are times when you can begin to doubt yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But what I have found moving forward and having more practice in the area of saying, oh, okay, this is just fear that's talking, right? And I don't have to keep believing you.
That is such a huge point. If people that are listening in or
Yeah.
listening to the replay takes nothing else away from this, that is exactly it. Figure out when you have when you have something coming and you have some, you have doubts. Is it fear? It usually is fear versus is it coming from who I
Mhm.
really am and I trust it even if I can't see how I'm going to do it or the results versus is this just fear?
Well, but what's also interesting is the realization that whether it's a new project or not, every day is a new day and we're always stepping into the unknown, right?
Yes.
And there's only guarantee of the present moment, and that's the present moment that we're in. And the last moment's gone, the next moment we're already in as I'm talking. So
It's a big realization, and we know it all to be true when we stop and we just breathe. We know it's true. There's only this moment. But our little mind is so quick at going, but what if in 2 days? What if in 3 days? So I guess it's that thing of coming back to the moment and learning to be more present and breathing in and trusting, yeah, believing, allowing.
well, it is very much about allowing. And what I have learned through this progression of all of this over the last years is, um, gosh, if you don't trust yourself, you really can't trust someone else fully, right?
No.
And it's that energetic, the law of vibration. The law of attraction is a sub law of the law of vibration, and it's in play all the time. And so if I'm operating at a lower vibration, that's who I will attract, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very important to be clear on the messaging, be clear on the calibration of the words that we use. And all of this has led me to, in fact, I started the hashtag of ultimate mind diet because the thoughts that you choose to think and how you talk to yourself makes the difference.
Huge difference. And one of the things I learned in my journey, spiritual and personal development journey in the last 8 years, is I really got to know that critical voice I had inside. And man, she was critical. Hey, she was the perfectionist who was like, you got to do this,
Yeah.
to a certain level. Otherwise, you're not good enough. Yeah. And I would beat myself up quite literally in my mind. Yeah.
Right.
And learning to switch that around in terms of, first, I think for me, and you can tell me a bit more, you got, this is your work. For me, I started by going, okay, at least I am aware of the voice now. And then comes the opportunity to start paying attention every time she's there, that critical one, and go, hold on. I have compassion for you, but we're not
Yes.
going to talk that way to myself anymore.
I started treating myself as my own best client
Yes.
because I thought, oh my gosh, if I would spend all of this time and do all of these things for other people, why wasn't I doing that for me? Right.
Yeah.
And that was a real turning point for me. And I encourage people to do that. I also encourage people to look at themselves from the outside, from the position of being a curious
Yeah.
observer. And because I think curiosity has some mischief to it, right? And so it takes out the emotional sting, it takes the judgment out, and it's a much cleaner exploration and evaluation of, oh my gosh, what was I thinking that led me to do this? Without beating yourself up and being
Yeah.
critical. And I think that all of these are tools that we can use. And so what's really fun, I laugh at myself quite frequently now. So, oh, sweetheart, what were you thinking?
Isn't that a wonderful way to have a relationship with ourselves where we go, hey, what?
Yeah.
We all have these thoughts, even when the critical comes back, just go, hey, sweetheart, here we are again,
Yeah.
and let's just be
Yeah.
curious about it.
Yep. Wouldn't you like to have a cup of tea?
Let's sit down and relax a little bit and just take time out, yeah? And just be nice and enjoy ourselves. I love that.
It is so fun. And I love to teach people about, how their body works too, the basics of the anatomy and the physiology, and the big point for me to get across to people, so they're aware of how they operate, is the breath work and the visualization work, and about the vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve is connected to almost every organ in your body. And when you can develop breath work and engage that vagus nerve, which also engages the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming side of your nervous system, and you can start to develop this breath work, self-regulatory work, which ultimately raises your level of vibration over time because it raises your level of self-awareness, then you're in a beautiful position to be able to be more responsive and interactive with how you want to move forward. You're able to be more intentional instead of being battered around by the circumstances and feeling that you're obligated, or there must be some reason that people want you to do something other than what feels right for you, which it brings us back to, learning to live from the inside out and following our intuition and really doing what we're here to do, right?
I love that. And I could continue talking to you for a long time, Catherine, but we're running out of time now, and you've given so much insight. And I can say Natalie and Tabitha and William, and thank you so much for your comments here. There's some great comments here. And Natalie's really, have lots of productivity in her life now, which is great, and excitement. I think we get excitement from coming back to ourselves, in terms of what we can do every day in the moment.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Wonderful. So before we finish up, how can people reach out to you? And if there's anything you want that you want to share, feel free to do this, and then we'll finish up.
Well, thank you. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all of the platforms other than Twitter. I even have some videos on TikTok, which is pretty fun. And and you can find my website at theartofselfcraftsmanship.org. And that includes the sunshinequotient.org. And so I have an energy principles and universal laws workbook, which is a free download. I have a free video there that actually teaches the breath work. And you'll find a calendar there, and Uni Umi, your sunshine ambassador, if you'd like to explore that. And on the third Tuesday of each month for the next 5 months, I'm offering, it's a 30-minute get together at 12 Eastern on the third Tuesday of each month. Create Your Ultimate Mind Diet, where I'm going to give information for about 10-15 minutes max, bring questions. I think it's important that we all start talking about these things.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree. And I love what you do. And if you have a chance, please feel free afterwards to come into the comments and put down your website as well, so everyone can easily find you. I appreciate that too. And I'm sure everyone who's going to be listening in on the replay as well will appreciate it too. So thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I love the light that you are. And you have just reminded me, going through a little bit of insecurity, which we all do at some points, in our life, on and off, is you just reminded me to come back to myself. So it was very much inspirational for me to speak to you as well today. So thank you for being an inspiration to me.
Well, thank you. And you have such a high level of radiance yourself. Keep it up. Right?
It's all a journey, and it's funny how when people start coming to me and go, "You look different. What's happened?" And you know what? They can't quite say what it is, but all you can do, if people say this to you, know that it's a compliment, and it's because they can't quite define it, because it's energetic,
That's
and
right.
Energy is everything. Marketing is great, but energy trumps everything when it comes to finding the right clients.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And this is where we're going to say goodbye, and it's